Everyone thinks the Pico 4 is the cheap Quest killer that finally makes VR an easy buy, but here's the thing. If you just impulse buy this headset, there's a very real chance you'll regret it, even though it does some things better than way more expensive headsets. When I started testing it, I expected a budget experience. Instead, I found a headset that's insanely comfortable, shockingly sharp, and yet held back by a few deal breakers that most reviews gloss over. I spent a few weeks living in this thing. Gaming, fitness, PCVR, even productivity. And what I discovered will matter a lot more than the usual spec sheet flex. Before we dive into what I discovered with the Pico 4, quick heads up. If you're already half convinced and just hunting for the best price or current bundles, I've left a link down in the description. But stick around, because there are some gotchas here that you really want to know before you click buy. So, why did I even pick up the Pico 4 when everyone keeps shouting about other headsets? Look, I was tired of brick-on-the-face VR. I wanted something I could actually wear for longer than 30 minutes without feeling like my neck did leg day. I tried older headsets that looked okay on paper but were heavy, front-loaded, and turned into a sweaty mess during fitness games. The visuals were grainy, God rays everywhere, and my IPD never felt quite right. On top of that, the walled gardens and constant account drama with other brands had me hesitant to reinvest in their ecosystem. The Pico 4 kept popping up in forums. Lighter, better lenses, sharper screens, built-in battery in the back, and no mandatory social media account. It sounded like the comfort-focused, no-drama headset I'd been waiting for. But I was skeptical. A cheaper, lighter headset that promised better clarity and comfort. That usually means corners cut somewhere ugly. So I decided to test it like I actually live with it, not just unbox and play one demo. First, comfort and design. On paper, the Pico 4 weighs around 295 grams without the strap, with the battery pushed to the back of the headband. In real life, it matters. I did multiple 90-minute sessions of Beat Saber alternatives and boxing games, and the front of my face didn't feel crushed. The Halo strap design, plus that rear battery, actually balances the weight well. But then, once the honeymoon phase ended, I noticed a catch. If you have a smaller head or lots of hair, you'll spend extra time fiddling with fit to get the sweet spot, and the Halo style never feels quite as locked in as a proper top strap plus soft facial interface combo for intense movement. Then I tested the visuals. The Pico 4 runs dual LCD panels at about 2160 by 2160 per eye with pancake lenses, and honestly, the clarity in the center is excellent. Text in menus, subtitles, even productivity apps was noticeably sharper than older Fresnel lens headsets I've used. Screen door effect is basically a non-issue. But then, you start looking toward the edges. That's where it gets interesting. Those gorgeous pancake lenses bring great central sharpness and reduced God rays, but you do get some edge blur and distortion. Reading HUD elements that sit off-center in some games can feel fuzzier than you'd expect from those specs. Next up, tracking and controllers. I tested inside-out tracking in multiple conditions: bright daylight, evening room lighting, and a more dim, cozy setup. In a well-lit room, tracking was totally fine for casual and even competitive rhythm games. The controllers themselves feel comfortable, with those vertical tracking rings staying out of the way when you bring your hands close together. But then, drop the lighting and things get messy. In lower light or with only a single warm lamp, I noticed more minor controller jitters and occasional tracking loss when moving hands close to the headset or at extreme angles. If you play fast, competitive games or have a darker gaming room, that's not something you can ignore. I also pushed it as a standalone gaming device. The Pico store has grown, and you'll find a lot of familiar genres. Rhythm, shooters, fitness, casual. For most people, there's enough to stay busy. But here's the problem. Compared to bigger ecosystems, some of the biggest must-have titles just aren't there. No Beat Saber. No huge exclusive franchise titles that define VR for a lot of players. You do get solid alternatives, but if you specifically want certain iconic games, you might be disappointed. Then I used it as a PCVR headset via Wi-Fi and cable. Over Wi-Fi 6, streaming SteamVR was surprisingly good when my router was in the same room. Latency felt playable for racing and adventure games, with only occasional compression artifacts. But push your router further away or add walls, and the experience drops off fast. Wired via Pico Link improved stability, but setup is a bit more fiddly than plug-and-play solutions some competitors offer. Now, the mixed reality pass-through. Pico 4 has color pass-through, so you can see your room in full color. Sounds amazing. In practice, it's cool for quickly orienting yourself and doing simple VR-style overlays, but the image is grainy and a bit warped, and depth perception is off. You're not replacing your monitor or doing serious Mr. Productivity with this. It's mainly a convenience and novelty right now. Here's the most surprising discovery after weeks of use. For pure comfort plus clarity per dollar, the Pico 4 is genuinely one of the best balanced headsets I've used. The combination of low weight, rear battery, pancake lenses, and motorized IPD adjustment makes it incredibly easy to put on and just forget about the hardware while you play. I could actually finish a full workout session without thinking about pressure on my cheeks or a sore forehead, and the image was sharp enough that I wasn't constantly squinting at menus. But that comfort comes bundled with some trade-offs that matter long-term. The content library, while growing, still trails the biggest competitor by a noticeable margin. Some top-tier games are simply missing. Software polish is better than it used to be, but you will still run into occasional bugs, controller pairing quirks, and less mature social and fitness ecosystems. And depending on where you live, availability, official support, and regional restrictions can be a real concern. Also, as newer headsets roll out with more advanced mixed reality and newer chipsets, the Pico 4's older XR2 processor starts to show its age in loading times and graphical headroom. So the real story is this. If you care most about comfort, sharp visuals, and using PCVR or more indie titles, Pico 4 absolutely punches above its weight. If you want the biggest library, the absolute latest mixed reality features, or you live in a region where Pico's ecosystem feels like an afterthought, it might not be the slam dunk the hype suggests. Now that you know where the Pico 4 shines and where it quietly falls short, the next step is deciding if it fits your use case. If it does, you'll want to grab it while discounts and bundle deals are still around. I've put my current best price link down in the description so you don't overpay. Bottom line, I do recommend the Pico 4, but not for everyone. If you're a comfort-first gamer, a fitness fan, or a PCVR user who wants a lightweight, sharp headset without being locked into a single social platform, this is a seriously strong option. If you're all about the biggest exclusive games, bleeding-edge mixed reality, or you hate dealing with occasional software quirks, you're probably better off looking elsewhere. Let's be real. The Pico 4 isn't the ultimate VR headset for everyone, but if you match its strengths, it might quietly be the best headset you never seriously considered.